have my eye on this beautiful casino chair designed by Charlotte Perriand. Is the LC7, and I save every single penny, all my paychecks, and I'm like, one day I'm going to get you. And then it all spiraled out of control after that one. It was the first one. I was like, oh, I'm in love.
Hi, I'm George, the co-founder of Bluethumb, and I'm joined by my colleague Amy. Welcome to Season 2 of the Art in My Home podcast.
We uncover the surprising stories from the art collections of unexpected guests.
Today's guest is Manuela Millan. Manuela is the founder of the popular Instagram account Meanwhile in Melbourne, a platform that highlights local design talent. She's currently associate at the architecture and interior design practice Sarah Stribley and has over 8 years' experience as an interior designer. Beyond her design work, Manuela has become a significant figure in Melbourne's design scene. She's been involved in various design panels, including Design Week Melbourne and Den Fair, and she also served as a judge for IDEA 2024. Her expertise in art direction has been showcased in photo shoots ranging from residential projects to exhibitions, all while maintaining a strong connection with local design through her platform Meanwhile in Melbourne. Welcome to the pod, Manuela.
Well, thank you for having me. This is so special. I've been a very big fan of your podcast, actually.
Really?
I found it very interesting. A couple of episodes. I'm like, oh, yeah, learning a couple of new things. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, we're very excited to have you here today and to chat. We like to start the pod with art questions as opposed to a bit about yourself first.
Love.
So what we'll dive into, because you've sent us so many beautiful artwork, is kind of what inspired you to get into art collecting, and was there a particular piece that sparked your initial interest?
Sure. I wouldn't call it art collecting just yet. I feel like that term is a bit of, I don't know, only for the big leagues in a way. But as an interior designer, of course, I have an eye for design and art and sculpture, painting, drawings, anything pretty and beautiful. I'll get my hands on it. But it actually didn't start with a piece of art. It started with a piece of furniture. Oh. So back in the day when I was at uni, I was working at Cult Design, and on Saturdays I was just really lucky to have work in a beautiful furniture showroom, but I can actually sit on every single chair. It's the best. And I have my eye on this beautiful casino chair designed by Charlotte Perriand. Is the LC7, and I save every single penny, all my paychecks, and I'm like, one day I'm going to get you. And then it all spiraled out of control after that one. It was the first one. I was like, oh, I'm in love, because that's a beautiful thing that reminds me of a period of my time at Cult and learning of, beautiful furniture and educating myself and trying to navigate this interior design industry, which was new at the time, at uni, fresh. And so it reminds me of that time, and it just has that significant value to me personally. And then after that, people started giving me either beautiful pieces from my mom or from my grandmother. And then every single time that I actually travel or go somewhere, I must have a piece of art with me when I come back. It's almost like a rule. Yeah. Last time I was just in Perth. I came back with some art. So regardless of where I go, I always bring something little. Yeah.
Seems incredibly inconvenient.
Yeah, traveling actually. Traveling from Paris 2 years ago with my beautiful husband that carried my 2 very big suitcases on all the train lines, because we went to Millan and we went to Lake Como, so it was just a bit of movement around. And I decided to buy these beautiful posters from a museum in Paris. And I remember just wrapping rolls of pants or T-shirts to make sure that they are protected as much as possible. So yeah, it's doable.
Yeah. No, I love marking an amazing trip with a piece of art, but also, imagine carting this piece back.
Oh, it's yeah.
So you normally try and buy rolled art or small art that can fit in a suitcase or whatever takes your fancy?
Depending, yeah. Or just a book. It could be a beautiful coffee table book or a beautiful ceramic.
Yeah.
Or a beautiful sculpture thing. Ceramics are easier for sure, because you can just put socks around them and put them in your luggage.
I think
there's the furniture.
Yes.
We should probably do a question on hot tips on how to pack art for international travel.
Yes.
That is a very good one.
So you recommend stuffing clothes in the roll?
Correct.
Within the roll?
Like socks,
Yep.
very thin T-shirts as well, that you just roll them,
Yep.
usually just packing. But if you have a roll, and they usually give you like a plastic sleeve,
Yeah.
so you can sort of shove things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it the Centre Pompidou? Have I said that right?
Correct. Yeah.
That was the works you brought back recently.
Yeah, so that's a very beautiful Yves Klein blue dot, which is
Yeah.
so striking.
Stunning.
I'm obsessed with it. And then also there's a line drawing as well of the actual architecture of Centre Pompidou.
Yeah,
Which is
and
the
that's
top one
an
there.
inside-out building, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
got all of the pipes and everything on the outside.
Absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. I saw it when I was younger, and
Yeah.
it's insane looking.
Yeah.
And there's a big collection of original Yves Klein artworks in there, right?
Yeah.
And they're all that one blue
Correct.
colour.
So
Yeah.
it's that theme because it created the pigment, and that's what sort of became famous for. But there's lots of different beautiful shapes. Like there's a square one, there's like a whole bleed to bleed, just the whole thing was just blue. But just something about that circle, I was like, I couldn't stop looking at it. And then, I just said to my husband, like, oh, well, we just better start rolling because this one is coming home too.
I love that. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, Manuela, is there a particular kind of art that you choose to collect, or is it more just what speaks to you?
What speaks to
Yeah,
you 100%. If you have that gut reaction feeling to a piece, it's worth getting it. And sometimes we feel like, oh, I love this, but I don't know why I love it. Or sometimes you feel like, oh, I don't like this, but I'm intrigued. I want to spend more time looking at it. And the more you look at it, like, I guess the better you have an understanding of what the artist was trying to do. So, I mean, I love oil and canvas for sure, because they've got that beautiful three-dimensionality from it. Photography as well, I'm obsessed with it because it's an incredible thing that you capture time and place in one thing, and so many different things could happen at that time, and you don't know because you weren't there, but you could imagine yourself being there. So you can get lost in photography. Line drawing as well. I mean, it's just beautiful. Watercolors are also amazing. I like everything. Is that an option?
Yeah,
Like,
no, absolutely. Because I would say it from looking from the pieces that you
Yeah.
have sent us as well. There is a real variety of styles,
Yeah.
themes.
I like what you just said about, some pieces I don't like it, but I'm intrigued. Because I have that where I absolutely hate it,
Yes.
and then I have to keep looking at it, and then sometimes it completely flips,
Yeah,
and they go from hating it to I want this,
absolutely.
and that doesn't
Yeah.
always happen. Obviously,
Yeah.
sometimes I hate and it stays that way.
Yeah. Or you can't stop thinking about it.
Yes.
And you're like, I must see this thing again. I
Yeah.
don't know what about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. But you want to go back to it.
Yeah. Any of these pieces like that started out like, oh, I don't think I like this, but I need to know more, and suddenly now they're a favourite? Or all of them were like, I want that straight away?
All of them was a gut
Okay.
feeling. I was just like, I won you.
Yeah, cool.
And some of them, I mean, like the little one that my mom gifted me from her travels. It's a beautiful
that's
oil
so pretty. The little
in canvas. Yeah, it's just probably like 30 centimetre by 30 centimetre. And I just didn't want to hang it because it felt so beautiful in that frame.
Of course.
So with that one, it was just a gift, Then the Derek Swalwell photography as well, he gifted me that as well. So
beautiful.
again, just very lucky about that.
Yeah.
And the Hannah Nolan, the beautiful oil on canvas as well, that was a gift from my brother as a housewarming present.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
That has a very beautiful kind of 360 story behind it. Because when he was here, I sort of like, come along, I take you to like fancy art shows or galleries or design events. So he loved that, and he's actually a collector. You should have him on the podcast. He lives in Perth, though. And we're just sort of like looking at the exhibition, and we both loved that piece. And I was like, oh, that's just really stunning. And met Hannah on the night, and she's so lovely. Lived in Blackrock, just had like this beautiful connection, and she's so nice to talk to. Just so calm, and you can see that translating into her pieces. Anyway, he bought that piece just for his own collecting. And then when I moved into my new apartment, he was just sort of like, oh, I've got something special to give you. And then that was a piece he remembers that we love from that exhibition. So
Beautiful.
yeah,
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you get it right, giving art is is like the best gift because
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it sits there and you can,
Yeah. And it would go with you forever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to live in this apartment for the rest of my life, but if I move, that's a piece that would remind me of that beautiful housewarming present.
I didn't know Hannah Nolan, the artist, but I had a look at her work. It's kind of interesting. It's got this sort of, like, is that like a just a
Watery.
square of black
Yeah.
sitting top left?
There's a lot of the themes for nature and living so close to Red Hill, Black Rock, just the Mornington Peninsula. So this was sort of her years ago kind of art that she exhibited.
Yeah.
But the new artwork, I think, is a bit more punchy. So it's got a bit more burgundy tones and a bit more navy blues and definitely organic shapes for sure. That's something that she nails. Yeah. She's got her own sort of beautiful place that she does, like talks or exhibitions. I think she just ran some classes as well. So she bought this property in Red Hill and converted it into like this artist gallery studio.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
And she just have like revolving art as well. So worth checking out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, her art looks very organic, like the countryside to me, I think, there somehow.
Yeah.
And you sent through a piece that is by your grandmother, is that right? So she's an artist?
Yeah, well, not technically, but
Okay.
yes.
Technically, I reckon.
Technically, that's amazing.
I mean, technically, yes, actually.
It's a really, it's like an amazing still life. She's
It's a still
clearly
life,
an artist,
yeah. So my grandma Carolina, which is my grandma from my dad's side of the family, she passed away recently at 93 this year, and full of life. Like, all my memories from her is just being such a pioneer of everything. Like, she's got the live and breathe life, and hospitable, and always, you know, with a beautiful meal on the table, with a beautiful smile, always, regardless of like the troubles of having 5 kids, being born, you know, in the 20s, living through all, you know, the recession, and, you know, putting just like a really good family atmosphere for the 5 kids is just incredible. So she was a housewife. She also made a business making cheese and selling cheese. So she was kind of like an entrepreneur. She just didn't just sit at home and, you know, do painting and sewing. She was really good at sewing as well. But yeah, she was a businesswoman, like driving her own car with the kids at the back. All right, let's do this kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And then she painted 5 different pictures, one for each kid.
Oh.
And that was my dad's one.
Beautiful.
So I grew up with that in my living room since I was a baby.
Yeah.
And always sat above the buffet or like the credenza next to the dining table. So I've got so many memories from just looking at that piece. And yeah, when my dad passed away as well 2 years ago, like that was the gift for me. So it's such a joy to have it in my own house, right next to my dining table, where I can remember all the family meals that we had and remember the both of them.
Well, it's a really special piece then.
Yeah.
Where did she grow up? Like, where is she from?
Colombia. So
Colombia.
home, yeah,
Okay.
back home. So
Okay.
yeah, both mum and dad are from Colombia.
Yeah.
I was also born and raised in Colombia, but I
Yeah.
came here when I was 17. So I've got
you
a
were just a
real
baby.
mix. Yeah, absolutely. Such a baby, straight out of high school, like no idea. I'm like, what is this?
How did you choose Melbourne from Colombia?
Okay, we have time for the story. Hang on, I just need a coffee. I'm like, whoa.
Spin a globe and put your finger, or you...
Okay, kudos to my mom. So mom decided, all right, I could sell everything. We got an inheritance coming from my grandmother from my other side. What am I going to do for my kids, for the future of my kids? And she was like, all right, well, Canada or Australia are like the best countries to live a good life. This was 2018. So we're like, okay, well, I'll just travel with you, Mum, that's all right. So yeah, she just literally just picked like, okay, Canada is too cold. So yeah, me and my brother just packed our life in a bag and moved countries.
Holy moly.
I know.
I did have 1 or 2 more questions about some of the pieces, because you sent through a whole bunch of
I know.
amazing ones.
You said 5 and I was like, but I've got like 9.
Yeah, no, I love that. More the merrier.
Yeah.
You have an Indigenous work here from Udamu. It sounded familiar to me. It's actually from that art centre, this piece that you sent through. So
Yeah.
can you tell us about that one, where'd you get it?
Sure. Well, actually, I didn't acquire that one myself. My beautiful husband brought it in when he went on a school trip to Central Australia, and as a 16-year-old saw it and bought it with his own money, the lunch money.
As you do at 16.
Absolutely.
I was
So
pooling money for, I don't know.
other things
I'd
rather
hate to
than art.
Yeah, what a legend.
Yeah. So as a 16-year-old, he thought, this is amazing. I want to start collecting, I guess. His whole sort of family have been very much into art or music as well. They all play an instrument. He's one of 5. And yeah, so when he brought it in to the collection, I was like, all right, this is amazing. And we recently put it up, actually. He's been on his family home, saved for us until we got our place and, you know, we can actually put some nails on the wall. But yeah, his mum and dad are very much like, I think they think that I don't like colour because of the way I dress. But they were like, oh, Manuela, are you sure you can handle that much yellow? I was like, of course. Like, there's not such a thing as too much colour when it comes to art, really. That's one of the things that I, as an interior designer, really push to be a bit bolder and a bit riskier when it comes to decisions with colour and texture and prints. Just like art is definitely one to inject a bit of life into the spaces. And also just the styling and the furniture as well. Yeah.
And speaking of styling, you've got some lovely little style vignettes here that you sent through.
Yeah.
How do you approach that with art in your house?
Well, being an interior designer and like knowing what is going to look good next to what pieces and what sort of complement each other, it's a blessing and a curse because I want to change all the time. But I also love like little vignettes and little styling pieces. So, you know, when you're starting designing, you want to make sure you don't overwhelm the space that you're designing, even if it's a hotel room or a restaurant or a house or an apartment. You just want to make sure that you've got your heroes clear. Like there's one central hero and you kind of like relax around it or complement each other. So this is something that we always do in interior design. So making sure that the palette kind of works together, all the materials are complementary, but also just when it comes to styling and pieces of art, I just want to make sure they have a beautiful breathing space. And if that is the hero piece, I want to make sure I've got the right complements around it. Just even like the flowers that I put next to it or the books that I sort of styled with it. And it's just a forever changing and a forever evolving vignettes
Of course.
in my house. Yeah.
The beauty of it, though, is that if you do get sick of it, you can just move it around all the time. Move your books, move your little paintings, because paintings don't always need to be hanging. They can be sat or placed wherever works.
So it gives a bit of flexibility there. And it's crazy how much just one thing that you change 100%. Or just put beautiful flowers and the whole painting is completely different.
100%.
Or you feel completely different about it.
I think people so easily get sick of their spaces and they're like, we need to buy more, like to change it. But maybe just move something around instead. Like you don't need to go to Kmart, just move your painting around.
Absolutely. Or just restyle it. And
just restyle it,
as long as you sort of feel comfortable and happy every day that you're going to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the aim of the game.
And I really like, you've got a lot of smaller works as well. I'm the same. I haven't committed to a big piece. I'm in a rental, so that's why I'm like, no, not yet, not until I know.
Yeah.
What would your thoughts be on like purchasing a big artwork and how you would really commit to it, but also like fitting it in a space, how to know what's going to be right for you?
Yeah. Well, I think maybe because I'm like quite short.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Actually,
I'm glad you're the same.
This just came out of like the back of my head.
Yeah.
I think it's because I just, what do you call it, when you're drawn into the small things and perhaps like a bigger piece might be too overwhelming for the space.
Yeah.
My apartment is very little.
Yeah.
And so a little combination of beautiful shapes that are probably just A1 or 20 by 20 and sort of playing around with this idea of 3 or 4 of them on a kind of like a gallery wall, I think it would have a bigger impact than a huge piece of art. But I cannot wait to have a bigger house. 5 years later, I'll be like, I got this amazing big piece.
But I love, like, that was really great because I think the gallery wall as a solution to a smaller space has, as you said, the same impact, but just kind of a bit easier to commit to. So
Yeah.
Do you put art into rooms like bathroom or kitchen in your house? Yeah.
Yeah. I can't do it in my bathroom now, on my current one, but I would love to have just, a beautiful kind of either a line drawing or something really special on it, because I grew up with one in my bathroom in a family home. So I think that just sort of reminds me of childhood. But I've got that beautiful Aboriginal piece is in my kitchen.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so that's my kitchen bench with the mandarins and the lemons.
So that's where the colourful work goes.
That's the colourful goes in the kitchen, yeah.
It's funny, like you're saying no colour, because you got this lovely Eve Klein blue, you've got this amazing pink work, and this is your friend, is it?
Yes,
Annabelle Rodriguez?
Annabelle. So I love her to bits. I'm very lucky to have actually worked with her. So she's an architect.
Oh.
And we used to work together at our old job. And she's an incredible artist with watercolour. Like the precision and the shadows, so hard to do when the medium is just water.
Yes.
And so she put a post on Insta, I can't remember. It's like, selling all of this like prints. So one of them is a print. And I was like, I put my hand up to anything, literally. Like if you ever sell anything at a mate's rates, I will buy it. Yeah, and funny actually, my brother has actually bought a piece from her too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I had a look. She's a featured artist on Bluethumb, and looks like she sold about 20 works on us, which is good.
Yeah.
So Annabelle, she is Cuban, I think. Is that right? Yeah. How did you meet?
So we worked together at the same architecture practice.
Oh, together. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So she's an architect and I'm an interior designer.
Yeah.
So we work together at the same architecture practice in the city.
Yeah.
So, been really blessed to have known her and just to call her my friend.
Yeah.
And when she lived around the corner, we always went for walks, and she got a very beautiful Iggy dog, Tony. That's his name. I know.
It's a great name for a dog.
Beautiful. And I've just been forever an admirer of her craft. It's just unbelievable.
She has quite a lot of works that she's got on us and obviously other places, and to be an architect and also to have such a big body of work, she must be a very hard-working person, I think, to juggle both those things.
Yeah. I think she's now taking a break from architecture and just focusing on other things and other cool projects. For her birthday, actually, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, but she did have an exhibition of all her beautiful art in a room, and from a friend perspective, like, who is such a talented person that for her birthday she just does an exhibition of her work for her dearest friends and family to come and have a look at it. And this was a really cool place, actually, just off Chapel Street, that the front was kind of like a gallery space, but then at the back she just had like this Cuban band going, and it was like a party. So it was just like gallery, party. It was the best night ever. Like, we had so much fun, and you could see, I guess, her whole family and her whole environment sort of celebrating her for a great artist that she is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What a talent. Talented party thrower too.
Yes, absolutely.
So we love design on a budget, and we have a lot of people on Bluethumb who are kind of starting their art collecting journey. Do you have any tips in general on design on a budget, or any kind of hints or tips along those lines?
I think knowing what you would like to spend your money on, and I'm not saying just going every weekend to Kmart or a poster shop and just start buying because you feel like your wall is naked. If you really have a strong connection to a piece of art and is sort of out of your budget, you could perhaps start putting some like money aside to that, so you know that something special is really coming your way. But if you really want to have something on your walls, I recommend just going to the museums or the NGV shop. And just get a poster, something that you would put it on a frame, put it up. Yes, it is not an original piece, but it's a beautiful art that you can just go and have a look at it, and it's probably the third of the cost, sometimes a fourth of the cost. So if you want that dopamine from hanging something on your wall, just go to museums, galleries, and just to start small with that. But funny you say that. One of my pieces that I put it on a frame, it was a placemat from a restaurant in Colombia,
Wow.
So it's not even art, but
Yeah.
I just loved the design. And
Yeah.
this was in a restaurant house museum mix. I can't remember who the architect was, but he was a prolific architect that also was a designer, also was an artist. And the family decided to open up this beautiful home as a restaurant. So it's called Casa. And we went there 2 years ago and had a really amazing family lunch. And I just saw down and it was like the blueprint of this amazing restaurant house that we were in. And I was like, oh, this is going, let's start rolling with this. So things, it doesn't even have to be a poster, it doesn't have to be expensive, but if it's something that you have a good gut reaction to it, or if it's going to tell a story, or if it's going to remind you of something special, it's worth putting it on a frame and hanging it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So that was the one you took back from that trip? And
Yep.
socks on the inside?
Socks, put everything in and make sure we're rolling. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. So you're a content creator. You have Meanwhile in Melbourne. It's a very popular kind of design account. Apart from that, do you have a current favourite account or book or blog in the design space that you love that you would recommend to people?
Yeah. We consume so many images, so many beautiful things every day, especially on my line of work. I'm always wanting to have like more inspiration things and just looking at like what is Belgian designers are doing, what are Spanish designers are doing. So I've always started with trying to look internationally for inspiration and just to learn what other people are doing. So Yatsta, that's a design blog that I follow quite regularly. So yeah, he's based in Athens and again, it's sort of like his own curation. So I recommend that one because it feels less commercial than other design blogs.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not bombarded with too much advertising.
Yeah. How do you spell Yatsta?
Yatzer.
Yep. And that's on Instagram?
That's
or?
on Instagram
Yeah,
and design blog as well. But also just, your regulars like Design Milk, Design, Architecture, AU as well. Habitus magazines, like, your Vogue, your Bells. It's still in the mix, because it's just good to be inspired by something international, but also locally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But also the art magazines that you find in art galleries, really. Just, the Sunday life.
Oh, I do like the Sunday life.
Yeah, I read it.
Domain. Like, it's, So I think you just have to have your finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also not into design space, but I've been listening to Shameless podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Stop, I love
I'm
Shameless.
obsessed.
Yes.
Sarah and Michelle, if you're listening.
Yeah. If only.
Shout out.
Shout out
New
to
friends of the pod.
We should do a pod
Oh my
collaboration.
God, I would love to.
Yeah.
They do have quite the art collection in their office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening.
Yeah. No.
Exactly. But yeah, the new sort of podcast that just launched recently, Stylish,
Yes.
they just dived into marketing, beauty, fashion, trends, businesses. Yeah, they did this episode of Anna Wintour and just be inspired by those little things that are not even in design. That I'm like, oh yeah, I should look into fashion for inspiration. Or they just put it on the back of your head and just being like, I consume design every day. I consume materials, appliances, finishes, schedules, plans. That is the kind of language that I live in. So I sometimes tend to look into other things like sports, like, basketball shorts for inspiration.
Yeah.
Or
Wow.
it's something that is
Okay.
completely opposite.
Yeah.
To really think, oh, okay, I like what they're doing here. Maybe is it something that I can translate that to my interior design?
That's super interesting. And we do that in the technology space as well. We look outside of, what we're doing for inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. What do you see as a kind of design trend for next year?
And is boucle dead? I asked this to every designer.
I only learned what it was when you asked it.
So dead.
Noted.
Yeah, fashion and trends come and go so quickly. Interiors take a bit longer to get to Australia from the sort of fast fashion consumerism. But it's so funny that they're sort of so linked within each other. Not a trend, but we're seeing more of personalized interiors or just more authentic interiors. So the term kind of goes with I have an eclectic style, or I just collect new modern and have a Persian rag, but I also have like a really slick minimal stainless steel kitchen. But I have my grandmother's, painting with it. So I think is sort of going back to the beginning and just being like authentic and personal in the spaces. So I think more and more is not following like a trend or a print or a design or stripes or dots, whatever it may be. It's just being more authentic to who you are and just being comfortable in the space. On saying that, you know, the Millan Design Week always is a trend forecaster. So this happens every year. All the best designers in the world go to Milan for this fair. And you can see sort of trickling. So, you know, we went for the navy to the greens to the kind of terracotta, sagey kind of Australiana vibe that we just sort of saw a lot of interiors doing that. I think is going down to the burgundy roots now. So I'm calling it burgundy is on at the moment with a bit of navy, light blue thrown into it as a contrast.
Yeah.
Then I think is red next year.
Ah, okay.
I love it because we've seen it in the knitwear.
Correct. Yeah. So you've seen it like looking at all the things that I know design, but like, yeah, fashion trends and beauty trends. So there's like Glossier just had this amazing red liner or like red eyebrows, red hair. So I think that would influence interiors in a way.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But if I'm wrong, just don't come at me.
No.
We'll edit it next year.
No. Look, honestly, anyone telling us anything but neutrals is great.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah. I'm sick and tired of that sort of beige and beige tonal coastal vibe.
I love that it's moving from sort of generic to personal.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Big
that's-
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a
Thank
Thank
you
great
you
for
for
having
chat.
me.
coming.
Yeah.
I'd love a really good chit chat.
Oh, yeah.
I could chat all day.
I know. So could we.
We've got our second episode booked for when you're in the bigger house with the bigger pieces.
Yeah, call me.
Thank you, Manuela.
Thanks,
No,
Manuela.
thank you for having me.
If you love art and hearing collectors' stories, please share this episode with a friend. Don't forget to follow, rate, or review the episode to help make the pod more visible. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people and the Torres Strait Islander people as the traditional owners of the land we're recording on, and we pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging.